Biology has rules. Animals age. Animals have organs. Animals reproduce sexually, breathe through dedicated respiratory systems, and see using eyes built roughly the same way ours are. Most animals follow those rules closely enough that we barely think of them as rules at all, just how life works. These 10 don't just bend them. Several of them break rules that most biologists would have called absolute a century ago. Number 10. 10. The Bombardier Beetle. When threatened, this beetle mixes two separate chemical compounds stored in internal reservoirs, triggering a reaction that heats the mixture to near boiling and expels it as a rapid-fire spray directly at an attacker, accurate enough to aim in almost any direction, including straight backward over its own body. The chemical reaction happens entirely inside a living animal, controlled precisely enough that the beetle's own tissue survives contact with the substance hot enough to burn the skin of whatever it's defending against. Number 9, the hagfish. This ocean-dwelling animal has no jaw, one of the few living vertebrate lineages that never evolved one, and defends itself by releasing a small amount of concentrated slime that expands on contact with water into a volume large enough to clog the gills of an attacking predator within seconds. If a predator manages to grab it anyway, the hagfish can tie its own body into a literal overhand knot and slide the knot down its length, using the leverage to twist free and simultaneously scrape the excess slime off its own skin. Number 8, the star-nosed mole. Its nose ends in 22 fleshy, tentacle-like appendages containing the highest concentration of touch receptors documented in any mammal on Earth. Researchers studying this animal's hunting speed found it can identify, decide whether to eat, and consume small prey in under 120 milliseconds, faster than the time frame most human visual processing operates on, making it very likely the fastest-eating mammal ever recorded. Number 7, the Mantis Shrimp. Its eyes contain up to 16 different types of photoreceptors compared to just 3 in human eyes, allowing it to perceive categories of color and polarized light that don't have names in human language because we've never had a way to experience them. Its raptorial claw strikes with enough acceleration to briefly boil the water around it, a phenomenon called cavitation, generating a flash of light and heat that momentarily approaches the temperature of the sun's surface, all inside a strike that lasts a few thousandths of a second. Number 6, the sea sponge. No brain, no nervous system, no true organs of any kind, not a heart, not a stomach, nothing most people would even recognize as biology at that level of simplicity. And yet, it's unambiguously classified as an animal. Researchers have documented an experiment where a sponge is passed through fine mesh, breaking it down into individual disconnected cells, and those cells, left alone in water, will actively find each other again and reassemble into a functioning sponge. Here's where the list stops bending familiar rules and starts breaking ones most people don't even know exist. Number 5, the cuttlefish. Despite being completely colorblind, unable to distinguish hue in any conventional sense, cuttlefish display some of the most elaborate color-changing skin patterns in the animal kingdom. And researchers now believe they may perceive and communicate using polarized light patterns invisible to the human eye entirely, essentially operating on a visual channel that doesn't require color at all to convey enormous amounts of information. Number 4, the sea cucumber. This time for a different reason than you might expect. Several species breathe primarily through a structure called the respiratory tree, located inside their rectum, drawing water in and out through the same opening used for waste. In moments of extreme threat, some species also expel that same internal structure along with other organs directly at a predator, then regenerate the entire system afterward. Number 3, the superb lyrebird. This Australian bird can reproduce an extraordinary range of sounds with remarkable accuracy, other bird species calls, and in documented cases recorded by researchers and naturalists, sounds from its environment including camera shutters and chainsaws, weaving them into its own courtship song with a level of vocal control that has no clear equivalent anywhere else in the bird world. Number 2, the Bdelloid Rotifer. a microscopic freshwater animal that hasn't reproduced sexually in tens of millions of years. An evolutionary scandal biologists still actively study, since sexual reproduction is considered nearly universal among complex animals for good reason. Researchers studying this rotifer found it can survive its DNA being physically shattered by desiccation or radiation, then repair that damage using genetic material, some of it borrowed directly from entirely unrelated species through horizontal gene transfer, incorporating foreign DNA into its own genome as a documented, repeatable part of its survival strategy. And number 1, the immortal jellyfish. Under stress, injury, or simple old age, this jellyfish can revert its own cells back to an earlier developmental stage, essentially restarting its life cycle from a juvenile form, a process that can theoretically repeat indefinitely. It doesn't stop aging. It reverses it on demand using a biological trick no other known animal fully replicates. We've covered a few other rule breakers in past videos too. The platypus that lays eggs and injects venom, the tardigrade that survives the vacuum of space, and the fish that changes its own sex depending on who's around it, all worth watching if you haven't already. But these 10 prove the list of biological rules considered unbreakable keeps getting shorter every single year. Science looks closer. Out of everything on this list, which one do you think would be hardest to actually believe if you saw it happen in front of you? Tell me in the comments, and subscribe to NatureCrest for more deep dives into the animal kingdom's most extraordinary and most rule-breaking biology.